We have a problem with the mansion. Good afternoon, everybody. Got a story today. I want to relate it back to common folk. Okay. The story is going to be about a $44 million mansion in Beverly Hills, but you can take things from even this level of housing and you can bring it down to our level, $3 million and below. So let me get into it. I think it's instructive. I think it can be helpful, and that's my goal, so that you can maybe, figure out whether or not this is something that could affect you down the road. So here we go. It says, mansion buyer beware. A $43 million spec home is a catastrophic failure, suit alleges. And it says that a developer concealed, there's a claim that the developer concealed structural defects to a massive Beverly Hills property, which is now uninhabitable. And I will put this, I will link the article in the description below, but I just wanted to go over it with you. It says that this fellow already had purchased a bunch of high-priced homes in Los Angeles and New York when he paid $43 million for an enormous Beverly Hills post office mansion in September 2019. Now, September 2019 is important. It says the media-shy German investor and his representatives visited the 24,000 square foot modern style spec home at 1155 Angelo Drive half a dozen times before he closed on the deal. Now, a spec home is something we need to pay attention to as well. Despite his real estate experience and due diligence, the Angelo Drive home's numerous construction flaws remained hidden until after the closing, according to a lawsuit. The suit alleges that the developer concealed serious structural defects that led to extensive water damage, rendering the home uninhabitable. Hasselsweiler appears to have identified issues with the Beverly Hills House post office mansion in July 2019, 2 months after the property hit the market for $46.5 million. Okay, so this is July, and if we go up to the top here, purchased in September. So he paid $43 million for it. I didn't have that earlier, so it's good. I got to bring that back in my notes. So he appears to have identified the issues 2 months after the property hit the market for $46.5 million. He or a representative met with Livingstone because of concerns over the windows and the HVAC system, according to the suit. Livingstone was one of the developers. And he said, I look forward to closing the deal quickly and delivering a perfect residence which you can enjoy for a long time to come. And that ended up in the lawsuit. But at that point, the developers were aware of a major waterproofing problem that hadn't shown up in routine inspections because of the season. During the wet winter of 2018 and 2019, Fowles Positro was on site and would have noticed leaks after a rainfall. The following summer, however, when the sale was closing, it was exceptionally dry. So this is California, and never having lived there, my understanding is it's always nice. I don't know if that's true. Anyway, after Hasselsweiler moved in, the rain caused leaks on almost all installed door and window units, as well as excessive roof ponding and defects in the wall cladding, the complaint states. The water damaged the mansion's underlying structure and interior finishes. The HVAC problems persist, as do issues with badly installed plumbing system, the complaint notes. There are also electrical hazards and other issues that were only discovered in extensive post-closing inspections. The result is a catastrophic failure of the building systems and components, and the lawsuit alleges, and it's for $36 million in damages. And so I wanted to go over this from the perspective of someone like me. I can work up $2 million in home sales, but I don't typically get the luxury market here in St. Louis. I don't get a share of it, and so I did want to relate, though. I mean, this is a problem that can happen on a $100,000 house in St. Louis. It's not limited to just the it's not just limited to the mansion. So I did have some notes, and I did want to go over them with you now. But that would require me to open my notes because I closed them. So I apologize for that. Here we go. So, number one, the buyer went through the house in July before purchasing and noticed an issue with the windows or HVAC system, according to the article. This is something that happens all the time. In fact, When we do an inspection before buying, we are looking for these types of major issues. The problem, in my opinion, is how the repair is made. You can certainly hire a professional to fix a problem, and that actually doesn't solve the problem. In a case of a normal home purchase, the contractor has maybe 20 days to get in, make the repair, and then the new buyer takes over ownership of the house. That's not a lot of time to find out if the repair works. So in practice, in St. Louis, if there's like I had one house where we did an inspection and animals had chewed through the they chewed through the wood, the cladding around the entire house on the second floor in the attic. And so there was still siding, but all the wood was going to have to be taken out and replaced. And at that point in time, my buyers were no longer interested in purchasing the property. And so we walked on the inspection clause. There would not have been time to get that work done before closing. And similarly, like, let's assume that there's a basement leak. Well, there's a lot of basement repair people, and normally in the offer you'll write, or in the inspection notice you'll write something like qualified repair to be made, or something like that, licensed qualified repair or craftsman. And you can have the best people and still have an issue afterwards. And so I'm always kind of hesitant if there's a really, really bad problem, especially related to issues of settling on a property. I typically don't want to be involved. I don't want my buyers to be involved, because we don't know if the repairs are going to work, and what's the point when we can always go buy another house. When you buy a house that has a bad structural issue, you're stuck with it. I mean, you're stuck with getting the repairs done, and obviously you can sue the people and all this other stuff, but it's still, I mean, if you can just walk, maybe it's better to do so. And that's what I've always counseled my buyers to do. In this situation, the article says that there were wet conditions when the eventual buyer noticed the leak, and when he actually bought the house, the weather was dry. It's conceivable that repairs were made, but they just didn't get it tested because of the dry conditions. So they very well could have gone through and done all kinds of, work, and then it hadn't rained. And so one of the things, like when they were talking about water ponding, obviously that's a flat roof, and obviously there's some issues there where the water's not draining properly. So, if it hadn't rained enough, you're not going to notice that kind of thing. It's unfortunate. I'm not choosing sides in this case. I can definitely see this from both sides, but we see this in St. Louis when I show houses. When we show houses and it's dry, we have like a dry summer, the basements aren't leaking because there's no water around. But sure enough, the first rainstorm and the tenant moves in, or the buyer moves in, you got water coming through the wall, and it's possible. So one of the worst things to happen to a house is water leaks. It will destroy a house so quickly, and it's not always obvious where the leaks are coming from. We're told that the walls were white marble in this home. If water got behind there, it would be terrible. So you can have water leaks and not know it until it's way too late. You can have water coming down the walls, in between the walls, and like causing mold and all kinds of stuff, and not even see it until it's way, way, way too late. Water is a terrible problem in homes. So that's I can understand how this could be construed as bad. So how bad is this mansion? We know they were asking $46.5 million before the house sold. And in the article, I believe they bought it for $44 million. And we know that the lawsuit is asking for $36 million. So I don't have a law degree. I don't know about the contention that the house is a catastrophic failure of building systems and components from a legal perspective, but it sounds terrible. So, the HVAC, did they ever get it right? We don't know. They say it's not right. And, some of these homes are works of art. And the idea that, you could just go down to Lowe's and fix the issue, I mean, it's not going to go that well. We don't know what the $36 million is comprised of. We don't know if that's just, if that's how much it's going to cost to make the repairs, or if that's just, if that's part of the damages. We don't know. But I can understand the suit. And one thing I was wondering is if you knew what a spec home is. That does matter. So it's a house built by a builder without already securing a buyer. Usually these homes are difficult to build with traditional financing is lenders would prefer a sales contract before a home is built. So a spec home is we're going to build a home, we're going to design it the way we want to, and then we're going to allow somebody else to come in and buy it. Versus you go down to like McBride here in St. Louis and say, I want to buy a house. They get the contract to buy the house, and then they start building. That's what a spec home is. It's where they're building the house to their own specs, and then they sell it. And then finally, this was a $40 million mansion. There's serious issues with it. It's a complex home with 24,000 square feet. So the larger the home, the more complex, the more expensive the home, the more expensive the features are in the home. So I wanted to bring this article to you so that you can see even that the ultra wealthy have issues from time to time with their home purchases. Building systems can fail. It's not limited to $1 million homes. So what you can do is you can always get a home inspection before you buy your home. Hopefully the inspector finds these issues that can either be remedied or you can move on to a different home. And so that's really what I have for you today. You know, I've always thought that you want to find a buyer's agent that's really looking out for you. And that means if the market right now in St. Louis is saying, hey, you know, come in with an as-is offer, no inspections, no appraisals. I'm on the buyer side, I say, you know what? I think inspections are important. I think we should get inspections. And if we lose a house because we didn't get inspected or because we asked for this clause, then so be it. Let someone else deal with these problems. And sure enough, this summer we saw article after article about people who had lost, they'd purchased a home and there were these damages and they're trying to look for people to sue. Rather than look for people to sue, rather than ruining your own time and spending your own time and wasting that, go ahead and get a property inspection before you buy a house. Pray and hope that the inspector is decent. You know, we have inspectors here in St. Louis that they'll be like a light switch and it doesn't work, and they'll treat it like it's the worst thing that's ever happened in the world. Okay, but they'll miss something, you know, like a roofing issue or something like that, and it's like it's hard to take these people serious. But at the same time, home inspection is very important part of the home buying process, and I hope just so you know, I mean, even the wealthy have these issues. So if the wealthy have these issues, we might as well look at this and try and make changes when we're out buying houses so that we don't run into these issues. That's all there is to it. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and I will catch you on the next one.